A very strong teenager, lost my legs due to illness when I was a child. However, at the age of 18, a great opportunity arose. Cheatability. Absolute intimidation. A man sitting in a wheelchair in front of the gang surrounding him thinks proudly. With a confident posture and piercing gaze, the man speaks, leaving his aggressive comrades behind. Those who lose to me at least once become my subordinates. Bastard. You can hear the girl coming closer to the young guy. She directs a sharp glance towards the men sitting in the fruit stand. Clenching one hand into a fist and holding the baton on her shoulder with the other, the girl addresses the owner of the fruit shop. He was paralyzed because of the fruit you sold him. Today you will have to explain yourself thoroughly. During the angry speeches of the red-haired beauty, the man thinks about her with visible admiration. Cheng Xin-yun is my childhood friend. With a simple mindset and just crazy fighting skills. All thanks to her. She brings my plans to life, and now I have a lot of subordinates. Starting to introduce us to his story, the main character remembers. There are 3 places where the fruit shop is located. The market in the west, Zaijiao City in the east, and an emergency abandonment in the south, and that's where the battlefield broke out. The man becomes furious with his thoughts. After the affairs of one family in the south came to me, this fight should become key for our gang on the way to supremacy over the entire region. Did you come here to shit? How can you even lose a limb from eating a fruit? The owner of the shop notices with dissatisfaction, casting a questioning glance at those who came, continuing to sit next to his products. You brats weren't even around when I was already running a business. Get out. The delivery truck will arrive soon. The owner says, releasing the cigarette from his lips and pouring smoke from his nostrils. The owner of the shop suddenly stood up, tense with dissatisfaction, and stood opposite the customers. He stated with undisguised irritation. Not going to leave? Don't ask for a fight with me. Heh. Do you think you scared me? The girl laughs in the owner's face, maintaining complete balance and equanimity, while her baton remains at her shoulder. Contempt is visible in her eyes. Forward. The main character gives the command to his gang, and they rush into battle, full of determination and passion. A whirlwind of action begins as each member of the gang enters the fray, fulfilling their role. Damn, don't show off too much. The shop owner shouts back to them, raising his hand and commanding his gang to go forward to answer those who came. The tension in the air is rising, promising an exciting showdown. It seems that a battle is about to begin. The gang of comers rushed in different directions, grabbing everything they could get their hands on, fruits, boxes, everything that could be carried away. They simply robbed the shop owner and his gang, without giving them a chance to fight. Perhaps this was a cunning tactic to avoid direct confrontation and to make the shop owner realize his defeat when his goods disappeared along with the gang of visitors. This is the first time I've seen people rob a fruit shop. Come on, catch up with them. The shop owner shouts in bewilderment and rage. His people obeying the order shout yes. And will rush in pursuit of the stolen fruit, ready to return their loot. A tense atmosphere erupts as the battle for the fruit turns into a confusing chase. A pink-haired girl approaches the main character, who is sitting in a wheelchair, and hands him an unknown piece of paper. Here you are. The girl says. The man gratefully accepts the leaf. Good job. He answers, taking an unknown document in his hand. Eh? The owner of the shop says in bewilderment, turning towards the young people, trying to understand what is happening. It is not clear to him what is on the piece of paper that the pink-haired girl gave to the main character. Actually, I needed this piece of paper. The man says with a satisfied grin on his face. He now has a trading license in his hands, and he is clearly ready to use it to his advantage. He stole my trade license. The shop owner says in bewilderment, expressing his indignation. His eyes reflect dissatisfaction and the desire to return what was stolen. The man takes out his phone and starts calling. Hello, is this the city government department? I would like to inform you that I have discovered an illegal vending point at an intersection. Have you guys arrived yet? He speaks into the phone, expressing satisfaction with the action performed. What meanness? The shop owner shouts. He peers at what is happening in bewilderment, hardly believing what just happened. A policeman gets out of the car as it arrives. Hey, were you the one calling? The policeman asks, directing his gaze towards the men. Victory. Everything is going exactly according to my plan. The main character says contentedly, looking around with confidence in his own actions. His eyes sparkle with satisfaction from the successful completion of the planned events. Meanwhile, the delivery truck mentioned earlier by the shop owner is already rushing along the western street. Brother Takumi, it looks like we were given an overweight load. Says a nice girl, clearly worried about this. The girl sits inside a delivery truck with her brother, and her anxiety is clearly demonstrated by her slightly flushed expression. It's okay, Nitsuki, no one will check. Takumi, the man driving the truck, answers. He holds the cigarette tightly in his teeth and is clearly not worried about it. Heading towards the store, Takumi notices police cars, and his gaze shows alarm at the possible consequences of meeting with representatives of the law. What? The truck driver screams at what he sees. Nitsuki, who was previously excited, exclaims. Brother Takumi. There are cops ahead. She points her finger forward, showing obvious excitement before meeting the police. Takumi, seeing what is happening, screams. Crap. What the hell is wrong today? His hands grip the steering wheel of the truck with some tension, and his eyes show determination to overcome the problem. Takumi jerks the handbrake sharply, with the desire to turn onto another path. Then you need to turn onto the alley. No one ever patrols that place. He shouts, deciding to avoid a collision with the police and choosing an alternative route. Just turn. Geez. You rushed so hard. Nitsuki speaks, clearly frightened by the situation. Her facial expression shows anxiety and bewilderment at Takumi's unexpected maneuver. Takumi grabbed the steering wheel tightly and made up his mind. Have you ever heard of drifting? Today you will see him. The driver says he is confident in his abilities. Ever heard of drifting? Today you will see him. The driver says confidently. He grabbed the steering wheel tightly and filled the air around him with determination and excitement, as if he was ready to show off his driving skills. Takumi makes a sharp turn, and the truck ends up behind the gang's golden-haired master. What? The man exclaims. He notices a huge truck that is about to be very close. A brother and sister driving a truck notice a man sitting in front of him in a wheelchair, apparently unable to quickly move away from the road. They exclaim. There's someone there. Faster, steer to the side. Nitsuki screams. The situation becomes tense, and the excitement of the unknown is mixed with the determination to avoid danger. The man at whom the truck is purposefully aimed is covered in a sheet of horror. His expression twists with helplessness in front of the oncoming truck. What the hell? He says, dumbfounded by the approaching danger. You can't kill me that easily. He declares with a shout, and then with a sharp movement of his hand, he grabs the wheels of his chair. He makes a strong push using the 20-year-old wheel speed technique with a single person's hand. His movements show frenzy and determination not to give in to the threat posed by the truck. An apple lying in the way prevented the man from rushing forward, and then realization dawns on him. At that moment I remembered. Words flash through his head. I remembered that the speed of falling cherry blossoms is 5 centimeters per second. The man remembers. Sakura flutters around him with its beautiful leaves. A light wind caresses his thoughts and body, creating an atmosphere of calm in this doomed moment. The brother and sister sitting behind the wheel of the truck cling tightly to each other, waiting for a collision that can no longer be stopped. Time seemed to slow down, creating tension and at the same time a certain solemnity before the inevitable. Bam! The sharp sound of a collision. The inevitable happened. Fuck it, if I weren't disabled, I wouldn't have been hit. Everything a man can think about. Information about his death was instantly noticed and transmitted to the metaverse. The event that happened at that moment seemed to have gone into the endless expanses of multidimensional space, where every episode and detail of its fate could be under the attention of higher powers. The man woke up and, opening his eyes, saw above him a beautiful beauty in sparkling robes. Are you awake? What a successful death, it only took a couple of seconds, said the unknown woman. Her words sounded mysterious and a little ironic, creating an atmosphere of an unexpected transition from death to a new stage. What the hell? Who else are you? A man exclaims, abruptly rising from a capsule-shaped bed in a room full of unknown devices and mysterious instruments. The surrounding environment creates the feeling that he is in some kind of futuristic space. The soft light surrounding the unknown woman emphasizes the unreality of what is happening, and the atmosphere is filled with suspense and mystery. Hey, can I move my legs? The golden-haired guy notices in surprise. He clearly didn't expect to feel the ability to control his body. Naturally. In spirit form, your physical shell cannot influence you. Spoken by an unknown woman, surrounded by a mystical light, as if personifying the mystery and power she represents in this incredible moment. Enough chatter. Tell me already, who are you? The man asks, nervously pointing his finger at the girl. His words permeate the tension and anxiety caused by the unknown and mysterious circumstances. Don't point your finger at people like that. "This is actually very rude," says a dissatisfied girl. She snaps two fingers of her fragile hand, and the young guy's fingers immediately begin to blur into space, as if under the influence of magic or supernatural force. Noticing the disappearance of his hand, the man begins to scream. "Ay. My hand is missing. What did you do to me? Who the fuck are you?" His face is not only full of bewilderment and fear, but also of bright rage in front of an unknown force. "Giggle, you can call me editor-in-chief, creator goddess." The girl answers, laughing with a slight giggle. Spheres of light spin around the girl, creating the impression of a magical whirlwind. The magic emanating from it fills the space around with shining light, creating an exciting and mysterious picture. Her actions look like a manifestation of the higher powers that she wields as a creator goddess. "And I can easily kill you," the girl says threateningly. The angry girl, poking her finger at her opponent, says, "Now listen. You are a comic hero who has just died, your previous world has also met its end." Her face is filled with anger and hostility. "Comical hero?" the guy asks in bewilderment. His face is covered with beads of sweat, his eyes are immersed in anxiety about what is happening. "Naturally. Where do cheats come from in a normal world? Did you really think that you were the main character of reality?" the girl says, continuing to point her finger, now very close. Her words are piercing and full of disdain for the illusions that could have gripped the guy. Filled with rage, the guy responds. "Enough mockery. I will soon rule the world and reach the very top. How can I die like this?" Clenching his fists in rage, the guy looks as if every muscle in his body is tense with determination and anger. His face is distorted with tension, his eyebrows are furrowed, and his eyes sparkle with aggression. Well, calm down. The strong are destined to die. You know, the Achilles heel trope from Greek tragedy. The girl says, smiling and giggling at ease, continuing to wave in the air and illuminate the space with light. "Since you want to reach the top, I can give you a chance to be reborn," the girl says, raising her hand instructively. Hope is already beginning to overwhelm the guy. "Reborn? Can you let me be reborn?" the guy shouts, casting a sharp glance towards the girl. "Naturally, I'm a goddess. I can definitely do that," the girl answers with a grin. His face transforms, filled with joy and anticipation. His gaze becomes warm and kind, and the energy emanating from him shines with a bright light. "If so, I wish you healthy limbs and a flexible body, and even better if I can restore limbs, even if they are broken. I don't want to be disabled anymore." He speaks under the influence of sudden hope and prospects for a new life. "Rebuild limbs? Okay," the goddess says thoughtfully. "Great. This time I will rule the world. I will reach the highest heights," the guy thinks. He is already completely ready to try on the image of a strong, great leader with a very strong body. Pointing the hand of her magical power at the guy, the goddess says, "Looks like you can't stand it, then I'm sending you away. When you appear in the new world, I believe that you will be able to survive, as well as reach the top, and your spirit will be able to live indefinitely." The goddess, full of calm, sends the guy to a new world. "Oh my god. Is it true? Wait. I still have a request," the man shouts in anticipation of his new body. "I haven't finished talking yet. Don't you understand as a human being?" the guy screams after the disappearing image of the goddess. His face blurs into space, sending him into a new world. A stream of frantic light is sent to the very bottom of the water surface. "Gurg glug, am I at the bottom of the sea? If you die here, you're done. Gurg glug, and what, will I drown immediately after rebirth?" The guy feels his essence sinking into the dark depths of the sea. Around him, the water shimmers in shades of blue and green. "Can I breathe? But I feel like that." Through the water vortex, the guy feels how his physical shell is changing. He is reborn into a creature of the deep, finding new life at the bottom of the sea. What are these? Water crystals. How bright. Water crystals surround him in a new, exciting underwater world. "I can even use them as a mirror," the guy says with interest to see his new look. I became a squid," the guy screams, his expression filled with horror and shock. "How dare this bitch do this to me?" The guy remembers how the goddess giggled about his desire to restore limbs. His face begins to distort with anger and rage. "Damn, you need to get used to this body first." The guy, who has already accepted his fate, is trying to figure out the mechanics of his movements. "Let me think, how did the aquarium squids move there?" A reborn squid ponders. "Relying on your body to contract and stretch your limbs?" he thinks, deciding to make an attempt to move. "Oh, it works. The reincarnated squid begins to race around at breakneck speed, rejoicing at its success in moving along the bottom of the sea. Fish swimming past pick up the squid in a wave and carry it into the distance. What's happening? Why do these fish swim so fast? He looks around in bewilderment and notices something large. A squid swimming underwater suddenly notices that the current begins to lead it straight into the giant mouth of a sperm whale. The squid's large eyes widen in horror as it realizes that its small body could become prey to this huge sea predator. What? The squid, not ready to become dinner, screams in horror. The water around the squid ripples with its intimidation, and it begins to use its fins in an attempt to avoid an inevitable collision with the dangerous predator of the deep. The sperm whale makes hungry sounds. The face of a sperm whale, a huge sea predator, emerges from the dark depths of the water. Its long and sharp teeth shine, creating the impression of a deadly mouth. The eyes of the cat whale flicker with a reddish light, indicating his hunger and keen sense of the hunt. Fish swim around, frightened and accelerating their movements, trying to avoid the trap of this sea predator. The squid, assessing the situation, realizes that it will have to show dexterity and ingenuity. Can we communicate with each other? It looks like we have a chance to reach an agreement. The laid-back squid walks, having already believed that it can get by without trouble. I'll eat you. An angry sperm whale roars. Well, why are you such a moron? The squid screams, terrified by the terrifying fish. Hey, do I have no special powers at all? Haven't I been reborn? The squid screams, its brain strives to master new possibilities, but at this moment a hungry sperm whale, tracking down its prey, approaches. The squid jerks and tries to use its fins to quickly swim to the side, hoping that its survival instincts and new adaptations will help it escape the deadly threat. Full system is not activated. You can only use the initial skills of the reborn object, squid. 1. Flexible hands and legs. The limbs with suckers have well-developed muscles and powerful absorption, but are poorly adapted to swimming inkjet. Squids can use the ink spray to confuse their enemies. Okay, I shooting to escape. Anxious, the squid decides to make an unforeseen move. With rage and self-defense instinct, the squid explodes in a cloud of ink towards the approaching sperm whale. Black streams spread in the water, creating darkness and confusing the sperm whale, which slows down its onslaught. Useless. An angry sperm whale roars. He, despising the inky deception of the squid, strongly opens his huge mouth, drawing into it water and everything that is in its path. There is too great size difference, the inkjet is useless. I'm sorry. The squid is aware of the danger approaching. Swiftly using his muscular tentacles, he jerks away to the side, trying to avoid the sperm whale's mouth. Water jets created by his movements splash around. 10 minutes later the squid finds itself in the sperm whale's mouth. At this time, its tentacles, having suction cups, keep it from being completely immersed in the sperm whale's mouth. Fuck. It's good that my tentacles have suction cups, so I didn't get sucked in. He screams. I am a person who can reach the top while sitting in a wheelchair. I can't just die. The squid's eyes sparkle with determination. In the final moments of the struggle, the squid realizes that its energy is running out. Damn, I'm running out of energy. The squid begins to scream. The forces of the tentacles float away, and he feels how hopelessly he is sliding into the depths of the sperm whale's mouth. The end has come. He decides to reconcile. The squid is picked up by a wave, and in the blink of an eye, he realizes that he is in the nostrils of a huge sperm whale. He exclaims in surprise, noticing the hope of salvation. It's the same, Norris. It's clear that I'm running out of strength due to lack of oxygen. Yes, and him too. He's about to come up for air. He realizes that the situation is also critical for the sperm whale. Realizing that he has every chance of salvation, the squid falls into a confident rage. Don't even dream, I won't allow it. We'll see who dies first. He decides to take advantage of this moment and is going to surface. With effort, the squid begins to move up the sperm whale's nostrils, trying to get to the surface. The sperm whale's eyes appear to bulge from the tension caused by the squid's movements in its nostrils. Having reached the surface, the sperm whale begins to writhe heart-rendingly, trying to get rid of the cause of its irritation. Die quickly already. I can't hold on anymore. Why haven't you died yet? Well, die already, die. Summons the squid, continuing to hold on to the suction cups. At this moment, the sperm whale is still wriggling heart-rendingly, trying to get rid of the surging problems. Yes, Christmas tree sticks, I will die first. The sperm whale, having turned over and lost strength, begins to sink to the very bottom, and its eyes fill with blood. The squid, despite its desperate cries and struggles, turns out to be the winner in this fight. Fuh! I nearly fell away. The squid screams, experiencing the triumph of victory. Maintaining a joyful mood, he swims away, feeling how the worries disappear, and the defeated sperm whale goes into the distant depths of the ocean. No matter how strong a creature is, it is destined to die due to the slightest flaw. This is the Achilles heel. The squid ponders, contemplating the departing sperm whale. That creature even said something smart. A voice is heard from nowhere. The squid sees how the sperm whale, sinking to the bottom, creates magical light and whirlwind waves around itself. This light and water swirls create a mesmerizing spectacle, reminiscent of a divine miracle. Every movement of the sperm whale turns into a water symphony, revealing itself in the dark depths of the sea kingdom. The squid exclaims in surprise at what he sees. What's going on? It became light and entered me. The squid sees how the sperm whale has transformed into a small light fish, uniting with the consciousness of the squid. Perhaps this unification contains new opportunities and adventures for the squid. Congratulations! You killed a sperm whale who was stronger than you. The defeated opponent was converted into experience and introduced into the body of the winner. The voice in the squid's mind speaks. So is this a reward? Can I take a look? The joyful squid is interested, waiting to see its new capabilities. Due to incomplete system activation, you do not have the right to view or use rewards. Rewards will be temporarily locked. An unknown voice answers. Then let me activate the system. How can I do this? Do I need some code? The squid, anticipating new strength, continues to be interested. Conclusion of a spiritual contract with the Atlantis. After this activation, double interaction system will be available. The voice answers, directing the squid's gaze downward with the current. At this moment, a breathtaking view of an underwater city opens up in front of him, flickering with light and framed by magical nets. The squid, without waiting for an answer to its objections, descends to the bottom and finds itself in a shallow coral reef. Basic reward received. Creation. King squid status. Teenager level. 1-3 starting skill. Ink spray. Success. Skill cooldown time has been reduced. 5 minutes 1 minute. Says the returning voice of the system. Inkjet? Improved? The squid thinks. We should try it. The squid begins to experiment with the direction of the jet. He emits a jet of ink into the water, creating a cloud of ink, and notices how the spray area has barely increased. Unsatisfied with his improvements, he begins to scream. What the hell? The cloud area has been battled bigger. What is the point even then? The squid begins to swing its tentacles in different directions and, without restraining its rage, continues its indignation. Then we would have given some special effects. Hearing some strange sound, the squid decides that a new enemy is approaching. Who is there? He shouts in the direction of the sound. Come out. The squid notices small tentacles rustling behind the sea reefs. As he watches, he sees 3 cute creatures that resemble him. Hello, we just noticed you. The squids greet you in a friendly manner. With a smile on its face, the squid raises one of its tentacles. Well hello. The squid responds cordially to its new acquaintances. God, first I became a squid myself, and now I'm exchanging greetings with other squids? He thinks. Sperm whales are our natural enemies. You defeated him. How cool you are. The little squids admire joyfully. Live me to praise seafood. The squid thinks, realizing the strangeness of its situation. Remembering his task of concluding a spiritual contract with the Atlanteans, the squid comes up with the idea that since he has the ability to communicate with sea inhabitants, he will be able to explain his current situation to them. Without hesitation, the squid decides to ask its new acquaintances. I just got here and there's a lot I don't know yet. Guys, do you know where Atlanta is located? He casually waves his tentacles, expressing his friendly attitude. Atlanta? Said by one of the little squids. I don't know. The second one speaks. Never heard of them before. The one who stands in front of everyone answers. Having heard exclusively negative answers, the squid begins to think. What are you, a bunch of clueless idiots? He thinks irritably. Then he decides to use the opportunity and find out as much information as possible about a place unknown to him. He asks, what kind of place is this? And what do you do here every day? One of the small squids takes out a small pearl shell and holds it forward. We collect pearl shells and donate them. He answers the question of the new hero. The squid, clearly not expecting to hear this, screams. Pearl shells. His small face tightens into a grimace of incomprehension. Squid, recalling a show with dubious popularity where people collected shells, reflects in surprise. What nonsense. In this world, do squids need to look for shells? Am I reborn in the Catch the Sea simulator? Suddenly, out of nowhere, a voice is heard that clearly frightened the little friends. Mr. Chuan, can you really help me get to the Coral City? The little squids begin to quickly move their tentacles in the hope of hiding from the source of the sound. They begin to shout to each other trouble. Let's hide fast. What's happened? The squid asks its new acquaintances, perplexed. Hiding from the approaching threat, small squids explain in a quiet whisper. Rotten fish and rotten shrimp have arrived. If we don't collect the required number of shells, they will beat us. Rotten fish and rotten shrimp? Still not understanding the situation, the squid asks again. Then the squid notices figures causing the little squids to go into horror. Huge sea catfish Xiao Chuan is paired with lobster Xia Guangzai. Level 4. What the hell? Sea catfish and lobster, the squid exclaims in surprise. Observing the dialogue of the threatening figures, the squid understands that they resemble his subordinates. Remembering them, he thinks. Are sea catfish and lobster the same as my subboarders? Don't worry, I have connections. The head of coral is my boss. Sam Xiao Chuan, confident in his abilities, says to the lobster. Mr. Chuan is cool. Firework. Xia Guangzai admires. Moving his muzzle closer, Xiao Chuan resembles Xia Guangzai. Since this is your first time meeting Master Long, you need to prepare a gift, remember? I know the rules. The gift to the master will be ready after the local tribute collection. The lobster, confident in his abilities, answers. Watching the dialogue, the squid thinks in surprise. What? Seafood also collects tribute, and then, out of nowhere, Xia Guangzai's huge claws hit right at the squid's shelter. Stop hiding. He screams. The little squids huddle in a corner out of fear of the terrifying Xia Guangzai, and only our hero remains calm and unshakable. Swinging its claws at the squid, the lobster demands. Well, drive away the money. Now. At this time, the squid, stunned by what had happened, begins to think. What the fuck? A lobster talking like a criminal? Having portrayed a calm and even disappointed expression on his face, Squid grins, amused by the fact that seafood is blackmailing other seafood. Remembering the dialogue between Xiao Chuan and Xia Guangzai, the squid comes to the realization that the key to increasing strength is kept in the Coral City. At this time, a huge lobster claw grabs one of the small squids and begins to vigorously demand its own. Brat! Xia Guangzai shouts. Come on, give it back. Don't make me punch you in the face. The little squid begins to scream heart-rendingly in pain. Holding the baby by the tentacle, Xia Guangzai lifts the helpless squid up, grinning at his situation. He continues to demand his own. Where are the monthly 300 shells? Drive to the base. The panicked kid holds out one small shell. Whine, I only found one. At this time, the hidden kids are shaking from the danger of the threat hanging over them. And our hero, remembering the old days in another reality, realizes the situation. Shells to pay tribute? Do they act as currency? He thinks. Law of the jungle, in my past life, I saw it too often. Remembering his ultimate goals, Squid decides to move on. Okay, I have my own business, I need to do something. He thinks, deciding to leave, but Xia Guangzai and Xiao Chuan immediately notice him. Hey. I haven't seen this color yet. Sam says, drawing attention to the unusual color of the squid. New guy? The lobster says, continuing to hold his prey in his tentacles. The squid looks at the huge creatures in bewilderment without uttering a sound. Xiao Chuan, who is clearly not happy with Squid's silence, swings at him and slams his fist into his face. Newbie. Didn't you know that you need to greet us when you meet us? He shouts at Squid. Swinging his claws at the squid, Xia Guangzai continues to threaten. Perhaps I need to break your arm so that you learn the rules? The squid deftly dodges by jumping up to avoid being hit by the lobster. The difference in size is too great, first we need to find an escape route. The squid whispered after a deft leap, trying to avoid new threats. Continuing to swing, the lobster shouts at his back. Xia Guangzai, despite Squid's deft departure, continued his attack. Did you want to escape? Not so fast. He shouts at the fugitive's back. The squid, concentrating on preserving its unknown life, quickly dodged the lobster's claws. Its multi-tentacled limbs wriggled in hopes of escaping its dangerous grasp. Oof. Squid wheezes. In a confident movement, the Xia Guangzai lobster quickly extends its claws and deftly grabs the squid in the air, like an experienced hunter catching his prey in the water element. Holding the squid in his claws, lifts it into the air. Since you were planning to run away, your debt amount has been tripled. Xia Chuan mocks as he watches Squid's helplessness. The squid tries to free itself from the lobster's claws, thrashing around in their strong grip. Furious at what is happening, he screams. Are you kidding me? First they mysteriously moved me, then I was chased by a sperm whale, and now they are trying to intimidate seafood? Eh? What is he carrying? Sam says, raising his eyebrows. Smirking at the helpless squid, the lobster explains. Did he start talking nonsense after we scared him? Having gathered all the energy within itself, the squid tenses every muscle of its body at full capacity, focusing on the new powerful skill of enhanced inkjet. The squid's eyes sparkle with tension, and suddenly a stream of ink is released from it, amplified and powerful. A black cloud is rapidly directed towards the faces of enemies, causing an expression of surprise and displeasure on their faces. Alien guys are too rude. The squid screams, trying to free itself from the clutches of its enemies. The ink cloud spreads, encountering enemies as they try how much to avoid the hit. Hey! What the crap? The lobster screams in a dull wheeze. He feels the ink covering his mighty claws. Fuck! I forgot that squids can spit ink. Catfish screams. He will escape now. The aliens, blinded by ink, scream. Using the distraction, the squid deftly slips out of the lobster's strong grip. Taking advantage of the moment, he swims to the side, trying to get out of the tension zone. The squid, having escaped from the lobster's clutches, expresses its concern. I sprayed too much, I can't even tell where it went. The squid covers its eyes with tentacles, trying to protect them from the darkness around them caused by the ink. The squid, having been hit from behind, flinches in surprise, not expecting such a turn of events. The squid, while in its ink, expresses its bewilderment and displeasure that it cannot see clearly in this darkness. I'm not used to a squid carcass, I can't see a damn thing in my own ink. Not sure what to do next, he wheezes. Out of nowhere, tentacles are extended to the squid. Ida, come here. Summons the voice of a small squid. Eh? The squid responds in surprise and, taking the little one by the tentacles, begins to escape. The squid, led by a small squid, quickly runs to the shelter under his cries. Come quickly. The squid, having discovered its comrades in hiding, expresses its joy at the meeting by smiling and speaking. Guys, you're still here. Hastily, he joins them. The little squid, opening its little eyes, asks in surprise. How did you do this? You're so good at spraying ink. We must run while we can. The others scream, horrified by what is happening. Squid is impressed by his new abilities and feels like a hero. When asked to run away, he pretends to be a hero and proudly declares. Is this some kind of joke? Run? I've never quit before repaying others for what I've done. Damn it. I don't see anything. Xiao Chuan screams in rage as he tries to get out of the cloud of ink. Angrily trying to find the squid, Xia Guang's eye waves his tentacles and screams. What a creature. Get caught by me and you're screwed. The squid, squeezing its ink tentacles as a sign of contentment, looks confident and powerful. His eyes sparkle with tension and determination, and his face, albeit slightly covered by tentacles, expresses a desire to pay for what he has done. An eye for an eye. And I will pay double. Satisfied with himself, he thinks. The squid suddenly begins to turn its head from side to side, as if trying to disperse the fog of ink and get its vision in order. Soon after, the squid feels the fog begin to clear and its vision becomes clearer. The squid looks around and sees algae. Seaweed. He shouts, smiling. With admiration and curiosity, he begins to examine the found objects. The squid, looking back at the algae, gives its expression a mysterious character. His eyes sparkle with energy, and the smile on his face expresses malicious thoughts about something interesting and unexpected. I have an idea. He thinks. From the mist of ink, as if growing out of the darkness, a lobster claw suddenly appears. She confidently sticks out, like an ominous ghost, ready for a new attack. The lobster, despite the fog, remains aggressive, ready to continue chasing the squid. The lobster, breaking out of the inky fog, screams towards the squid. Hey bastards, how dare you resist? The lobster, looking around, sees only the backs of the escaping squids, how they cleverly hide behind the coral reefs. Ha! Noticing the fugitives, he shouts. His eyes are set on pursuit, and he eagerly begins to scatter towards the fleeing squid, eager to catch up with the unruly seafood and restore his reputation of invincibility. The lobster, swinging its claws with fury, screams towards the hiding squids. Brainless people, I'll let you go for sashimi. He strives to catch his prey, showing anger and determination to catch up with the fugitives. The lobster, realizing that he grabbed seaweed instead of squid, speaks in bewilderment. What? Seaweed? At this time, the squid goes around him and takes cover behind his back, clearly planning something. The eyes of the squid hiding behind the lobster sparkle brightly, and a smile of anticipation appears on its face. Wrapping the seaweed around Xiaoguang's eyes, Squid gives the command. Pull. 3 little squids, hearing the command, gather all their squid strength. Their little tentacles tense and their bodies fill with determination. With a synchronized movement, they begin to pull the algae to the side, coming together to act as one. What the hell? The frightened lobster speaks. The squid, feeling its advantage, expresses its mockery towards the lobster. He says with a smirk. Fa ha ha ha, want to scare me? Work on yourself first, I hope 100 years will be enough. His facial expression is filled with confidence in his victory, and he does not hide his contempt for his opponent. The strong tension of the seaweed causes the squid to instantly stop, feeling its body being pulled forward. At this moment, he realizes that he himself has become a victim of the trap he wanted to set for the lobster. Surprise and bewilderment are reflected on the squid's face when he realizes that the situation is out of his control. The strong algae that the squid used pulls it forward with exceptional force, causing it to suddenly and forcefully come face to face with the lobster. At this moment, their sea bodies touch, and the squid feels contact with the chitinous armor of the lobster. The 3 little squids, still focused on dragging the seaweed, do not realize that with their failed attempt, they tied up not only Xiaoguang's eye, but also the squid with seaweed. They continue to rush forward, pulling both sea creatures with them, creating scribbles in the water and deepening the chaos of the situation. Trying to convey to them his helplessness and ask for help or at least stop pulling him forward, he screams. Stop! You idiots, you tied me up the same way. The squids, turning back, exclaim. Ass. They watch as the lobster and squid lie tied up and immobilized on the sand. The squid, still tied and immobilized in the knots of algae along with the lobster, screams. Why are you fucking blue? They are assholes. He thinks irritably. That's right, I'm a squid. Clam. The squid exclaims to himself, suddenly realizing his nature. An idea flashes through his head. Gathering all his strength, the squid tries to escape from the seaweed that is constricting him, tensing his muscles and rushing from side to side. Uff. He wheezes without holding back his energy. With persistence and perseverance, Squid manages to successfully escape from the algae's grasp. He is released and is free again. The squid, looking at the lobster lying motionless, grins. He. Feeling satisfied with your resourcefulness. Whine. Let me go. The seaweed-bound lobster begs. With a smile on his face, the squid jumps on top of the lobster, proclaiming cheerfully. One is done. The squids, jumping up and down with joy, scream. We made it. Addressing the kids, Squid says. Heh. And so it will be with everyone who decides to contact me. Squid's face takes on a menacing look. When the little squids notice a huge shadow looming over them, one of them says in amazement. What? The other one asks worriedly. What are you talking about? Wait, what are you doing? What are you what? Don't do this to me. How tight? After the little squids said these words, they noticed how seaweed suddenly wrapped itself around their bodies, creating a pattern of knots and holding them in place. Bound by seaweed, they lay on the sand, unable to free themselves from this unexpected captivity. The squid says, grinning. Phew. I tied up these idiots too, so I won't suffer any more because of them. Meanwhile, the system notification announces that the owner of the body has successfully defeated a level 4 lobster and 3 level 1 squids. As a reward, a new basic skill was received. Strengthening the arms and legs, which can be used on objects that weigh 20 times the squid's own weight. The squid, hearing the system's announcement of his new skills, happily realizes his improved abilities. Looking up thoughtfully as he ponders how he can use the power-up of his arms and legs, he feels a surge of confidence and determination. Victory is so easy to predict. Squid exclaims joyfully. Suddenly for the squid, while he was enjoying his success, a huge shadow grows behind him. The lobster and the little ones, frightened by the appearance of a mysterious threat, begin to make heart-rending sounds. Millimeters. Their mooing fills the water around them, creating an atmosphere of panic and chaos. Hair moo. Behave yourself. Squid shouts at them. At this time, Soma Xiaochuan's figure slowly appears in their field of vision. The catfish, roaring with rage, opens its massive mouth, exposing its long, sharp teeth. Its jaws open wide like the gates of hell, ready to swallow its small prey. The water ripples around, forming a vortex as the catfish begins to filter the water currents through its gill slits. The catfish's eyes sparkle with rage and pleasure as it tries to devour everything in front of it. Why did I suddenly have a bad feeling? The squid, feeling a sudden bad feeling, strains its incredibly developed nervous system, reacting sharply to changes in the sea current. Why did I suddenly have a bad feeling? He instantly realizes that something is wrong. Noticing a huge catfish behind him, the squid reacts instantly, quickly jumping to the side to avoid a possible threat. Its multi-rayed tentacles instantly react to danger, providing the squid with maneuverability and quick evasion. The squid, still in a state of readiness and vigilance, listens to Soma's words. Not bad. Apparently you are an unusual squid. Som, preparing for another attack, activates his skill, targeting the squid. Its huge muscles tense and its fins fill with energy, preparing for a powerful surge of water currents. Take it. He shouts to Squid, preparing to attack. The catfish, making a sudden jerk, rushes towards the squid with impressive power. Its massive body pierces the water, creating a vortex and raising bubbles around. Squeezing its inky tentacles as a sign of annoyance, the squid realizes. Shit. I'm not good at head-on battles, but I'm used to working with my head. My childhood friend usually did the fighting. Squid comes up with an idea, inspired by the deft blows of his childhood friend. Invented. He begins to formulate a plan using his wits and cunning to outsmart the sea catfish. Driven by the rapid approach of the huge catfish, as the squid senses a growing threat from behind, an idea comes to its mind. Remembering his new skill, tentacle enhancement, the squid quickly decides to test it. I need to try reinforced arms and legs. Focusing his energy, he activates a power-up in his tentacles, preparing to avoid an attack from the sea catfish. Squid boost. Level 4 strengthening arm and legs. With a quick and confident movement, the squid uses its new tentacle enhancement skill and grabs the bound lobster. Gathering all his strength, he tries to throw it towards the advancing Soma. Hi. The squid, using its reinforced tentacles, successfully grabs the lying lobster and accurately throws it towards the advancing catfish. Enhanced tentacles give him the ability to manipulate objects up to 20 times his own weight. The lobster, flying to the side, squeals from the unexpected impact, its voice mixed with the noise of the sea water. What are you thought there? Ah. Slamming catfish with lobster, squid creates an incredible whirlpool, reminiscent of a vortex in the ocean. Seafood home run. With the force of the blow aimed at Soma, squid expresses his power, and the impact sends lobster's claws flying off. The surrounding water makes a shrill sound as it collides, creating a spectacle of power and tension in the sea space. Squid was able to successfully overthrow Soma with the force of his punch. The latter, exposed, rushes towards the reefs, colliding with them with a powerful blow. Xiao Chun, lying on the sand, expresses his displeasure. Hey Xiao Chun. Why did you come after me lying on the sand? The lobster looks depressed and has lost his claws. His usually powerful limbs now look helpless. The beaten lobster, lying on the sand, weakly moves his remaining tentacles, trying to recover from his injuries. The squid tries to bring him back to consciousness. Hey, wake up. The squids comment enthusiastically on the events, supporting Squid in his magnificent feat. Wow, so cool. The squid, with a malicious grin, slowly approaches the amazed lobster, playing with his helplessness. The lobster, bound by seaweed and deprived of its claws, has a real fear of the squid. His eyes are full of horror, and his tentacles, bound by algae, tremble with helplessness. The creature, which is usually a predator, finds itself in a desperate situation, and fear is visible in its eyes of what the squid might do at this moment. Eh? What do you want to do? The squid, grinning, slaps the lobster in the face with its tentacle, expressing its superiority. Are you showing off anymore? Haven't you behaved inappropriately before? Squid says, enjoying the moment of victory. There is mockery in his voice, and his gaze is full of defiant confidence. The squid, picking up the lobster's fallen claw, laughs at him. The time of reckoning has come. He says, emphasizing his superiority and readiness for the final trial. Lobster screams frantically. My claw. What are you trying to do? Squid, holding lobster's claw, responds sarcastically. Don't be afraid, this is not for you. The squid, with a malicious smile, holds the lobster's claw in its tentacles. With his eyes sparkling with gloating, He begins to move towards the immobilized Somu. With a mocking grin, Squid lifts Lobster's claw and points it straight at Catfish's butt. Laughing gloatingly, he demonstrates his dominance and his intention to give Soma a surprise. The Squid lifts the Lobster's claw with a grin. "Why are you so serious? Smile, come on," he says, enjoying his superiority and playing with the amazed sea inhabitants. "No need. Don't touch this place with my claw, I beg you, don't," the Lobster screams. "Hey. Why did everyone suddenly go quiet?" Still in the awkward position of being stuck in the reefs, Sam says. Squid, with a grin on his face, made a powerful swing of Lobster's claws, aiming it right at Catfish's most sensitive spot. In agony, Sam contorts his sea face in a desperate attempt to escape the pain. His eyes look as if they are ready to jump out of their sockets as a result of unbearable suffering. Lobster lets out a heart-rending scream, "My claw. How scary he is." Frightened squids scream. Catfish shouts as he prepares to use his rotten fish skill. Mucus discharge. The catfish, having uttered a cry, begins to secrete mucus from its body, creating an unpleasant odor that instantly covers the space. The squid grimaces at the disgusting smell, feeling the foul-smelling catfish mucus surrounding it. "Wow, the smell," Squid says wryly. The catfish, grimacing in pain, makes a sharp and well-aimed swing of its massive tail, using it to quickly escape from the squid. The catfish disappears from Squid's sight, swimming towards deeper waters. "Hey! Come on, stand!" Squid shouts after him. The squid, looking at the escaping catfish, expresses its disappointment. "TCH, he escaped, but initially I wanted to punish him even more severely," he says after his departed opponent. After defeating the seafood, the system's voice sounds in Squid's mind, notifying him that he has acquired a new skill. The rotten fish has been defeated. Reward: basic skill chameleon camouflage. Lying on the sand, the amazed lobster and the little squids cannot take their eyes off the severed claw that lies in front of them. The squid says with a threatening look, "I received my newbie award, but I'm still not happy." "Lobster, now it's your turn," the squid says mockingly. The squid's face sparkles brightly with satisfaction. He takes his time, enjoying the moment of victory and the fact that the threat from Lobster is now subdued. "No. He is too cruel, I can only do it." Frightened by Squid, Lobster thinks. The squid, enjoying its victory, looks at the lobster lying in front of it. The chuckle died on his face as the lobster suddenly confessed. "I've been on the path for half my life. And I followed the wrong leader. Please give me a chance to serve a true leader," the lobster says, lowering his head in submission. The squid, hearing the lobster's confession and seeing it lower its head in submission, experiences an unexpected sense of surprise. "Wait. Stop, Squid says, surprised by the situation. "Phew, I just wanted to scare him, but in the end I almost got into trouble," he thinks. "No, I can just spare you." He refuses Lobster. The squid, satisfied with its position, makes its condition to the lobster. His heart fills with excitement, and then he speaks. "But you will have to tell everything you know." The lobster, with a look of joy on his battered face, responds with optimism. "Brother Squid, I will try." Meanwhile, Sam returns to Coral City. A pensive, fascinating perspective of ancient architecture in the Gothic style, built on the very bottom of the sea. Each building seems to be pulled out of a fabulous underwater world, decorated with colorful algae and iridescent light lines. The city seems to be immersed in the depths of time, and its architecture delights with its exquisite design. Stone towers covered with coral are supported by graceful arches and pillars. Light from shimmering algae filters through the transparent windows, creating a play of light and shadow on the ocean floor. The catfish, bowing before an unknown menacing figure, reveals its shimmering scales to it. A figure standing in the shadows radiates authority and power. Dark shadows mask the face of the unknown, leaving his features mysterious and enigmatic. "Master, please take revenge for me." "Whine, whine, whine," Sam begs. "Master? He makes you look like a loser. He didn't care at all that you were my boss," Sam says, bowing deeply before the mysterious figure. Indignant, the figure rises, his eyes blazing red with fury. "Stop slurping, you rabble." The master's eyes flashed with anger, as if an inner fire had flared up, and a red light of rage began to radiate from his eyes. Waving his hand, he pointed at the catfish, his voice sounded menacing, like thunder, flying into every corner of the underwater kingdom. I sent you on a treasure hunt, but you came back empty-handed. And now he lost to some non-entity outside the city, the master expresses his dissatisfaction. Master, I am too weak if I had a contract. Sam said, bowing his head guiltily. Do you want to gain double interaction? Okay. The master speaks. The master grabs the catfish by the tail and speaks. I can find you a second one, and when you become stronger, you will take revenge yourself, but remember one thing. The master holds the catfish menacingly by the tail, hanging it in the air. His eyes sparkle with rage and he commands. Take out all the trash that lives outside the city. Don't reveal my identity. Yes. Sam accepts command. Sitting on a huge throne, the master powerfully points his majestic hand at the person standing next to him. I live in seclusion now, so it is not convenient for me to convey information to you. I'll arrange a contractor. He declares. Let my contractor Nyan accompany you and take care of some business. Sam says bowing. Let's pass. Says Nyan, the son-in-law of a wealthy family living in the coral city of Q. With joy in his eyes, Sam follows the young man, who carries the aura of a successful and influential heir. Along the way, Nyan suddenly appears the figure of a woman, and his meeting with her brings a lot of surprise. The madam from a wealthy family living in the coral city of Q turns out to be Nyan's mother-in-law. Like him, she belongs to the Atlantean race. An invincible old woman who constantly scolds her subordinates and mocks the sea animals, she has earned the nickname Mama Wrong. Ma. Nyan said, greeting madam. He wondered. Why is she here? And then suddenly Mama Wrong slaps the guy in the face. Why did you hit me? Nyan asks in bewilderment. You have a disgusting face, it makes me sick every time I see you. Madam shouts. How did you earn even one pearl shell? How did you get into our family? Why are you smiling? Mama Wrong, very annoyed, grabs Nyan by the ear and expresses her displeasure. Other sons-in-law help their families catch sea creatures, but what about you? Emphasizing her dissatisfaction, Mama Wrong continues to scream. I just saw my daughter-in-law Ah King, who lives next door. She was going to ride a turtle, and she asked me why I was still walking. What can I answer her? I'm just ashamed. Nyan, experiencing the pain caused by Mama Wrong, thinks decisively. Weren't you the one who tortured all the past animals to death, now you blame me? No, I am leaving. This is the sadistic Wrong. There is no way I will sign a contract with her. Just then, Mama Wrong with a menacing look makes a dash towards Soma, she hangs above him in the air. Madam jumps on top of him and sits on his back. It fits perfectly. Wait a minute, I'll sign a contract with you. Jumping on top of Soma and sitting on his back, Madam says. Mama Wrong says with a grin. Catfish, under the weight of Mama Wrong, screams for help. Hey. I'm leaving. Help. Nyan, watching what is happening, thinks. Poor Sam. He was unlucky. God bless you, I'm off. Maid. Come here. Madam orders the girl standing next to her. Yes. The maid responds to Madam's order. A pink-haired girl with pointy ears runs up to the madam, holding several bags in her hands. The maid is Chen Xin-yun. She is a maid of the Q family from Coral City and has lost her memory. Madam throws the bag in the maid's face and orders. Take your bag. I'll ride this animal, and you take her home. Having fallen from a strong blow, the girl obediently nods. Good. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the Coral City. Sitting on the back of the Lobster, the Squid sets off towards the city. Don't see me off. Bye. He says goodbye to the little squids. Finally he left. Scary. The squids say with relief after the departing figures. Holding the Lobster by the antennae, the Squid ponders over new information. After I heard what this Lobster said, I had at least a little idea about this world. Coral City is the center of the sea world, the home of the people living underwater, as well as the home of the Atlanteans. Atlanteans look just like normal humans, but can breathe underwater. They have something like their own civilization here. And the wilderness is teeming with all sorts of strange or dangerous flora and fauna. The sea inhabitants are forced to sign a contract with the Atlanteans. Only then will both sides be able to use the Shuan-Chan technique. This knowledge leads Squid to an idea. Apparently, this contract coincides with the one required for the system. Maybe I'm not the only one in this world who has a system? What is another Shuan-Chan technique? Approaching Coral City, Lobster turns to Squid. Little Squid, in front of us are the gates of the Coral City. This is the outskirts, Atlanteans often come here to take a walk. Sitting proudly on Lobster's back, Squid realizes that Lobster doesn't know about the system, so he has no reason to deceive him. Remembering their fight, Squid realizes that he used to use balls of silt and sand to intimidate him, but now Lobster bows his head and flattens his ears in front of him. They have a view of the Coral City. Moving forward, the Squid comprehends its goal. It looks like I should go to the Coral City to become stronger and learn more about this world. The Lobster suddenly freezes, finding familiar figures in front of him. Madam walks proudly in front of them, sitting on Soma's back, clearly exhausted from fatigue. The Lobster's eyes fill with panic and he exclaims, "Crap. The bad fish has found a contractor." "Why are you panicking?" Squid asks him. The Lobster says, explaining his panic. This old lady is a famous sadist from Coral City. What she enjoys most is catching sea creatures and torturing them to death. If we fall into her hands, we're done for. Hell no. Do such perverts still exist? Squid says without hiding his contempt for the old lady. The Squid, remembering the goddess, lights up in shock. On the other hand, if there are such people in this world, then why was I reborn here? Panicking, the Lobster exclaims excitedly. "Let's run." Old Lady Wrong realized that our two poor animals could be killed. Deforming its body, the Squid jumps easily and gracefully, jumping from the back of the Lobster. Its multi-rayed tentacles play in the water, creating colorful bubbles all around. With a smile and a mischievous sparkle in his eyes, he says, "Do not panic. I have an idea." The Lobster opens its eyes wide as it watches as the Squid takes on the appearance of Mama Wrong in a surprising way. The Squid, imitating Mama Wrong's facial expressions, easily sits on the Lobster's back, creating the illusion that an old lady is sitting on its back. The Squid feels excited and satisfied when it feels mastery of new skills. "I used 2 skills at once. What a genius I am." The self-confident Squid thinks. Lobster, carrying Squid on his back, in the guise of Mama Wrong, approaches Mama Wrong herself. "Hey daughter-in-law. I haven't seen you for a long time. And you are becoming more and more beautiful," Squid says in a joking tone, imitating the voice of an old woman. Oh, you look great too," Mama Wrong says, unaware of Squid's true identity. "And who is it? Ah King's younger sister?" she thinks without recognizing the person in front of her. Meanwhile, Catfish quietly asks Lobster. "Guangzai, have you found a contractor?" "It's terrible, you can't touch lobsters, where can I find a new animal for Mother Wrong?" Soma flashes through his thoughts. The Lobster answers with a frown. "Xiao Chuan, you abandoned me and ran away. Now you no longer need to worry about this." The Lobster, in a state of confusion and surprise, thoughtfully rushes about with its thoughts. "My god, how did this happen? If this fool finds out that there is a Squid on my back, he will be angry. Come on, stop talking to that fat chick. Let's go to. Hey, whose little sister are you?" While holding onto Soma's back, Mama Wrong asks the reincarnated Squid. The Lobster, in a changed form, answers excitedly with an undisguised smile. Who am I going to visit? Haha. Tired of the dialogue, Squid thinks that it's time to stop this conversation. Enough. I just said hello, and she decided to chat with me. He thinks. Draining a drop of sweat from his face, Squid decides to quickly get rid of the conversation with the old woman. "Your mother, if Som recognizes me, it will be unpleasant. I wish I could get out of here faster. Hey, I just left that man's house. I'll go for a walk with you, sit on my little animal, he's fast." Mama Wrong suggests excitedly. Continuing to sit on the seafood, staring at each other, an awkward pause grows.